Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a truly fascinating topic, this silent revolution that seems to be brewing in global trade and finance. For decades, the system we've relied on, it's been dominated by, well, a single currency and a pretty centralized network. But what if there was an alternative? A parallel path being forged to address the, let's say, the growing cracks in that very foundation. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to really extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights, from a pivotal document, the PG Protocol Smart Chain White Paper. And this isn't just some theoretical exercise, right? This white paper, which is highly relevant as we speak, mid-2025, it lays out this grand vision for international trade finance. It's directly addressing some really pressing issues, everything from geopolitical tensions to the increasing systemic risks we're seeing in the traditional U.S. dollar settlement system. So how do we make sense of this potential seismic shift? Today, we're going to unravel the current tensions pulling at global trade. We'll zero in on a region that's absolutely vital to this change, Greater China, and then crucially break down how PG Protocol Chain is building its audacious answer. We'll look at everything from its unique stablecoin, BTCD, to its potential real-world applications. And all of this is happening against the backdrop of one of the biggest economic stories of our time, this whole de-dollarization trend. So let's get started. You mentioned cracks in the dollar and SWIFT system. For many people, that's almost unthinkable, isn't it? What specifically are these systemic risks you're seeing? Is this like a gradual erosion, or have there been specific events that really accelerated this vulnerability?
That's a crucial place to begin, definitely. What's truly fascinating here, and the white paper jumps right into this, is how it highlights these increasing systemic risks. They're really exposing some deep vulnerabilities within the established U.S. dollar and SWIFT system. I mean, for decades, it's been the unchallenged backbone, right? The unquestioned global standard. But now there's this confluence of factors that's quite clearly eroding that dominance. And it seems to be happening at an accelerating pace. First off, you have the glaring issue of political risk. The SWIFT system, simply because of its near monopoly and its foundational role, has, well, arguably transitioned from being a neutral financial utility to becoming a potent tool of geopolitical strategy. A stark example, and one that sent, frankly, shockwaves through global trade participants, was the exclusion of several major Russian banks back in 2022. Now, that wasn't just a sanction. It was a clear demonstration that access to the very plumbing of global finance could be, well, weaponized. Arbitrarily, unilaterally.
Yeah.
For any nation or major corporation, that immediately creates this undeniable need for alternatives, doesn't it? A system less susceptible to that kind of political leverage.
That's a powerful statement about its past dominance, and yeah, a worrying one about its present. If your access can just be cut off for political reasons,
Yes.
wow, it certainly signals a shift. But it's not just geopolitics, is it? Are there deeper, maybe more fundamental economic concerns kind of bubbling beneath the surface?
Absolutely. Yeah, beyond the sort of political weaponization, there are significant and growing credit concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the sheer scale of the U.S. national debt. It's projected to exceed a staggering $36 trillion by 2025.
36 trillion.
Yeah. This ballooning debt, coupled with persistent fiscal deficits, it just raises widespread global concern,
Yeah.
over the long-term credibility, the stability, even the fundamental value of the U.S. dollar itself. When the underlying asset of the global reserve currency faces that kind of immense structural pressure, well, nations and corporations inevitably start asking fundamental questions.
Yeah.
Is this system, built primarily on this foundation, really viable long-term?
Yeah.
That boils down to confidence, right? And confidence can erode subtly until suddenly it's gone.
So we're looking at this potent mix, political vulnerability on one hand, underlying economic instability on the other. But are there also more practical, maybe day-to-day inefficiencies making the traditional system just less appealing for businesses, especially in today's, fast-paced digital economy?
Precisely. Yeah, beyond the high-level political and credit risks, there are these stark, practical limitations that are just inadequate for modern demands. Think about traditional cross-border payments. They typically take anywhere from 2 to 5 working days to settle. Days. Imagine the friction, the lost opportunities for businesses that need speed and certainty. And these transactions, they also involve high costs, averaging around 3% to 5% of the transaction value.
Wow.
That's a significant bite out of margins, especially for smaller businesses. And critically, they suffer from this fundamental lack of transparency. You often can't track your funds in real time. Leads to endless reconciliation issues, delays. These aren't minor inconveniences,
Yeah.
They represent significant friction points, systemic inefficiencies for businesses operating in this 24/7 just-in-time world.
Okay, so we've laid out the global picture, a system kind of creaking under pressure, but how do these systemic vulnerabilities and daily inefficiencies translate on the ground for a global economic engine like Greater China, a region whose trade volume alone could reshape entire markets? How do these challenges specifically hit them?
This raises an exceptionally important question, and it's a critical focus of the white paper, actually. For the Greater China region, which, as you said, stands as the world's largest trading bloc, these challenges are exceptionally acute. They're immediate. To give you some context, China's total import and export volume, it exceeded an astounding $7.5 trillion back in 2024.
7.5 trillion.
Trillion. That's nearly 20% of the entire global trade share.
Wow.
Such a massive volume places incredibly high, constant demands on the security, the efficiency, the stability of payment settlement systems. So the current system's limitations. They directly translate into significant costs, operational risks, and strategic vulnerabilities for them on a really grand scale.
And China's been actively expanding trade relationships globally, right? Through
Mhm.
initiatives like the Belt and Road. Does that effort, connecting with so many diverse economies, does that amplify the need for truly new solutions, especially given the dollar's dominance?
It absolutely does. And this is a key driver for the urgency that the white paper highlights. Under the Belt and Road Initiative, China has established trade partnerships with over 140 countries. Now, what's crucial here is that many of these are emerging economies. They frequently struggle with consistent U.S. dollar access, maybe due to limited foreign exchange reserves, or sometimes just underdeveloped traditional financial infrastructure.
Right.
So for these partners, a dollar-centric system presents this constant bottleneck, creates delays, adds substantial costs. This amplifies the urgent need for something more secure, more efficient, and critically, more inclusive. An alternative that doesn't solely rely on the U.S. dollar or the established SWIFT network. It's about enabling smoother trade for everyone involved, especially those, historically underserved by the current system.
And within this complex, shifting global trade landscape, Hong Kong, it appears to be positioned as a really crucial piece of the puzzle, almost like a strategic anchor point for this new paradigm. Tell us more about Hong Kong's pivotal role here. Why Hong Kong and why now?
That's a perceptive observation, yeah.
Yeah.
Hong Kong's strategic position as this vital trade hub connecting Greater China with global markets, it is indeed increasingly prominent, indispensable even. Just consider its sheer volume. Its re-export trade value alone reached $650 billion in 2024.
650 billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
And that represents about 98% of its total export value.
Wow.
So this isn't just about goods moving. It underscores its deep established role as a high-volume transit point, a global trade intermediary lubricating countless international transactions.
Yeah.
But beyond the pure economics, its unique status is key. Hong Kong benefits from its independent customs territory status, distinct from mainland China. It possesses robust common law, legal, and financial systems that global businesses trust. And significantly, it's demonstrated this remarkably open and progressive attitude towards financial technology, especially blockchain and virtual assets. The specific virtual asset regulatory framework they introduced at the end of 2023, that provides an unparalleled environment. It offers both clarity and support. This confluence of factors, regulatory foresight, deeply integrated trade infrastructure, makes it an ideal testing ground, really, and a launchpad for innovative projects like PG Protocol Chain and its stablecoin, BTCD. It's uniquely poised to pilot and scale such a, disruptive yet necessary system.
Okay, so PG Protocol Chain emerges as this direct, almost inevitable response to these growing global challenges and the urgent needs of key trading regions like Greater China. But what's its ambition? Is this project looking to dismantle or overthrow the existing monetary system, or is it something else entirely? Because silent revolution, as we called it, implies maybe a different approach.
It's fascinating, actually, because the white paper explicitly states its aim is not to subvert or oppose the existing monetary system.
Okay.
Instead, and this is a crucial distinction, it offers a parallel path, a more resilient, more inclusive option for global trade participants. Think of it less like demolishing the current global highway, and more like building an entirely new, more efficient, maybe even safer, parallel route alongside it.
Right, giving people a choice.
Exactly. Providing choice and critically redundancy in a world that increasingly needs a diversified financial infrastructure. It's a strategy of, let's say, evolution through parallel development, not outright confrontation.
That's a key distinction, an alternative, a robust choice, not confrontation.
Yeah.
And it has this very ambitious goal, constructing a digital new Bretton Woods system. How does it envision achieving that? And why is Bitcoin so central to this grand vision? Why not just another fiat-backed stablecoin, for instance?
Its grand vision is indeed to construct this digital new Bretton Woods system. Now, that concept draws powerful inspiration from the post-World War II monetary order, which sought global financial stability, but with a critical modern twist. Instead of physical gold, it aims to use the decentralized digital asset, Bitcoin, as its primary value anchor.
Ah, okay.
This fundamental choice is designed to create a secure, neutral, and highly efficient super-sovereign trade settlement network. Bitcoin's inherent properties, its strictly finite supply, 21 million coins, its political neutrality, its decentralized nature, make it an ideal candidate for that kind of foundational role in an increasingly de-dollarized and, frankly, geopolitically fractured world. It offers a truly independent, censorship-resistant base layer.
That is a bold vision, leveraging Bitcoin as the digital gold standard for a new global trade network. Moving beyond reliance on a single nation's currency, how does it plan to achieve this technically? What are the foundational technologies that make this ambitious project even possible?
Right, the protocol's core philosophy, its audacious vision, it's built upon three really robust technical pillars, each one meticulously designed to address a critical aspect of international trade finance, particularly the need for trust, security, and efficiency on a global scale. The first pillar is all about establishing an unprecedented security foundation, a level of security that can truly underpin, trillion-dollar trade flows.
Okay.
And this is achieved through a deeply innovative leveraging of Bitcoin's hash rate. PG protocol chain is built on mature Elastos technology, and through this sophisticated merge mining mechanism, it actually shares over 50% of the Bitcoin network's hash rate.
Wow, over 50%. What's the practical implication of that? The real-world takeaway from sharing hash rate with Bitcoin, that sounds incredibly robust, almost unassailable.
It truly is. The practical takeaway, it means this new chain is virtually unhackable for global-scale transactions. Think about it. It's leveraging the same colossal security budget that protects hundreds of billions, soon trillions of dollars in Bitcoin. It makes launching a 51% attack astronomically expensive, effectively impossible, economically infeasible.
Right.
This provides unparalleled, cryptographically proven security for handling global trade-level fund flows. It's a truly robust, trustworthy foundation for any financial system aiming for global adoption. It answers that fundamental question: can I really trust this system with my money?
Unparalleled security is definitely a non-negotiable for anything touching global trade. Okay, what's the second foundational pillar then?
The second pillar is the BL2 cross-chain protocol and smart contract platform. BL2, that stands for Bitcoin Elastos Layer 2. It's an innovative cross-chain protocol designed to bridge the raw power of Bitcoin with the flexibility of smart contracts. And it utilizes cutting-edge zero-knowledge proof technology, or ZKP.
Zero knowledge proof. ZKP. That's a term that often sparks a lot of curiosity, isn't it? For our listeners who might not be familiar, could you explain the real magic behind ZKP? Why is it so pivotal for how Bitcoin interacts with this new chain? It sounds like it could be revolutionary for privacy and trust.
It really is a game changer for precisely those reasons: privacy and trust. The magic of ZKP is that it securely verifies the state of the Bitcoin mainnet, things like locked funds, and transmits that information to the smart contract platform, the Eco Smart Chain, without actually transferring Bitcoin ownership.
Okay, that's the key.
That's the key. It means users can lock their Bitcoin on the mainnet using a standard 90-day time lock script and thereby unlock its liquidity on the Eco Smart Chain. But they maintain complete non-custodial control of their underlying Bitcoin. They never give up custody to an intermediary,
Right.
which fundamentally eliminates the risk of asset misappropriation, a major concern in traditional finance and even some crypto systems. And the EcoSmart chain itself, it's fully compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM. What that means for you, the listener, is that a huge pool of existing blockchain developers can quickly build new, sophisticated trade finance tools and applications on top of this system. This could potentially accelerate adoption and the variety of services exponentially. Plus, it boasts an average block time of just 5 seconds and very low transaction fees, making it highly efficient and practical for real-world trade.
That's incredibly clever, unlocking liquidity without giving up ownership. Maintains security, adds massive utility, and opens up development. Okay, and what about the third pillar? How does it ensure the system stays decentralized and governed by its users, not just, a single entity?
The third pillar focuses on precisely that: decentralized governance and a dual-token economic model. It's designed to foster community ownership and resilience. The project uses a dual-token model. ELA, which is the native Elastos asset, and PGA, which is PG Protocol's own governance token. ELA is primarily for core network security, paying gas fees on the Elastos main chain, and for staking by the vital cross-chain arbitration nodes. Think of it as the security bedrock. PGA, on the other hand, grants direct voting rights on system parameters. It also serves as the primary gas fee token for the EKO smart chain itself, keeping operations affordable and aligning them with governance decisions.
A dual token system with decentralized governance. How does that actually work in practice? How do they ensure truly decentralized control and prevent, single points of failure or undue influence?
Yeah, the core of this decentralized governance is the PG Protocol Consensus Union. And this isn't just a handful of entities. It's designed to be a robust decentralized network comprised of an impressive 20,000 nodes.
20,000.
20,000. These nodes, empowered by their token holdings, vote weekly on key system parameters using both ELA and PGA tokens. This multi-token voting mechanism ensures true community self-governance and shared risk management. It means decisions are distributed, preventing any single entity from gaining too much control or manipulating the system. It's a pretty robust architecture designed for democratic and resilient decision-making, which is crucial for a system aiming for global, neutral adoption.
That's a fascinating and really comprehensive technical foundation. Now, at the heart of this entire ecosystem, kind of the engine enabling all these innovative applications, is the BTCD stablecoin. How does it work, and why is it so central to their vision of reshaping global trade? Why not simply use Bitcoin directly for payments?
BTCD, or Bitcoin dollar, yeah, it's absolutely the linchpin. It's the true innovation that bridges the gap between Bitcoin's fundamental value and the daily needs of commerce. It's a native stablecoin, uniquely designed to be over-collateralized by Bitcoin, yet pegged 1.1 to the US dollar.
Over-collateralized, okay.
Right. And this is the real innovation. BTCD isn't just another stablecoin. It's designed to let you tap into Bitcoin's fundamental value and security, use it as digital gold, essentially, but then give you the stability of the dollar for day-to-day trade. It's like having your cake and eating it too, right? Getting Bitcoin's potential long-term upside without the headache of its daily price swings when you actually need to pay for goods or services. Its ingenious design directly tackles Bitcoin's inherent price volatility as a transaction medium, while simultaneously preserving its digital gold value storage properties. This is critical for trade, where stability and value is paramount, but the underlying asset's long-term appreciation is also highly desirable.
So it's about harnessing Bitcoin's strengths without its day-to-day price swings.
Got it.
The white paper details some really innovative operational mechanisms for BTCD that make this possible. Can you walk us through those, maybe starting with how users actually collateralize their Bitcoin?
Certainly. Yeah, one key feature is its tiered collateralization ratio design. This offers flexibility to users. You can obtain a base 40% collateralization ratio by staking only Bitcoin.
Okay.
But for those seeking higher capital efficiency, essentially getting more BTCD for the same amount of Bitcoin collateral, they can additionally stake FIST or ELA tokens to boost this ratio significantly, up to 65%.
Interesting. So you get more bang for your buck, so to speak.
Exactly. It provides flexible options tailored to different user needs and risk appetites, allowing for optimized capital utilization.
That sounds like a smart way to offer choice and efficiency. Another feature that really jumped out at me was this 90-day time lock mechanism. Why specifically 90 days? And what does non-custodial really mean in this context? This sounds like it directly addresses a major pain point for businesses.
This 90-day time lock is absolutely critical, yes. And it's a brilliant stroke, I think, that directly addresses the real-world cash flow needs of international trade. It means that users' Bitcoin collateral is locked on the Bitcoin mainnet via a 90-day multi-signature time lock script. Now, non-custodial, that's the fundamental principle here. It means users always maintain direct control and ownership of their underlying Bitcoin assets.
They hold the keys, essentially.
They hold the keys. This fundamentally eliminates the risk of asset misappropriation that can arise with centralized custody solutions, where you hand over your assets to a third party. Crucially, the 90-day cycle is chosen because it aligns perfectly with common international trade settlement periods. Invoices, payments often revolve around 30, 60, or 90-day cycles.
Right, that makes sense.
So this offers a practical, predictable, and familiar liquidity solution for traders. It allows them to unlock capital for current operations while still maintaining that long-term Bitcoin exposure.
So it's secure, perfectly aligned with existing trade cycles, and efficient for capital. Great. But what about managing market volatility once that collateral is locked? Bitcoin, as we know, can be, well, quite volatile. How does the system protect users from sudden drops?
That's where the comprehensive clearing protection mechanism comes in. It's a vital safeguard. The system is designed not to immediately liquidate collateral if its value drops below a certain threshold.
Okay.
Instead, it has this built-in ability to relock the BTC for another 90 days. Essentially, it gives the market time to potentially recover and maximizes user protection. This multi-stage approach is explicitly designed to protect against those vicious liquidations you can see during periods of intense market volatility. It prioritizes the user's long-term interests and stability rather than forcing immediate, potentially loss-making sales.
And how is all of this verified securely across chains? Making sure that Bitcoin is locked without centralizing trust in any single entity. This cross-chain verification seems fundamental.
That's precisely where the zero-knowledge proof verification shines again. ZKP technology securely verifies the locked state of the Bitcoin on its mainnet and ensures that information is accurately and crucially decentralizably transmitted to the Ethio smart chain. This means there's no need to trust any single intermediary for the cross-chain operations. The whole process is transparent, cryptographically verifiable, and censorship-resistant. It's a real leap forward in ensuring data integrity across distinct blockchain environments.
Okay, so pulling all these innovative mechanisms together, what does this all mean for someone looking to engage in global trade? Or maybe just manage their assets? How do these intricate designs come together to create what sounds like a genuinely new paradigm for finance?
Through this sophisticated, multi-layered design, BTCD achieves this powerful unification that frankly was previously thought quite difficult, if not impossible. It provides a stable unit of account and settlement for international trade that offers crucial predictability in pricing and transaction values that businesses absolutely require.
Hmm.
Simultaneously, it allows Bitcoin holders to securely unlock liquidity from their assets without sacrificing Bitcoin's long-term appreciation potential. It effectively bridges value storage, Bitcoin's unparalleled digital gold characteristic with transaction medium, the absolute need for a stable, efficient, low-cost payment method in global commerce. This truly represents a foundational shift, potentially a digital gold standard for trade, that unifies what were previously considered quite separate functions.
This clearly isn't just about a new type of digital currency, is it? The white paper outlines a whole suite of applications that seem to extend far beyond simple payments, aiming to integrate into the very fabric of the real economy. Let's dive into some practical, real-world examples that maybe illustrate the transformative potential here.
Exactly. Yeah, the vision for PG Protocol Chain and BTCD extends far beyond simple peer-to-peer payments. It really aims to provide comprehensive digital financial solutions for the real economy, touching everything from basic trade settlement to complex corporate treasury management, even personal remittances. It's about enabling new possibilities for commerce.
Cross-border trade settlement seems like the most immediate, maybe the most impactful use case. How does BTCD fundamentally improve on current methods? And who benefits most from these efficiencies?
This is indeed the core application, yeah, where the most immediate and tangible impact will likely be felt. Using BTCD can slash settlement times from remember, often 2 to 5 working days, down to mere minutes. Minutes. Imagine a transaction that used to take nearly a week, now settling in potentially under 10 minutes. It also dramatically reduces transaction costs by over 80%, from that typical 3–5% for international wires down to a remarkably low 0.10–0.3%.
Huge difference.
Huge. And critically, it effectively mitigates both exchange rate risks, which can eat into profits, and geopolitical risks, which can halt trade altogether. This is especially vital for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. They often struggle disproportionately with high fees, slow processing, limited access in the traditional system. It's also potentially a game changer for trade with emerging markets along the Belt and Road Initiative, many of which face chronic difficulties accessing U.S. dollars and the traditional financial rails.
That's a massive improvement for the small and medium businesses. Really opens up new avenues. Can you give us a quick, maybe concrete example just to illustrate that impact?
Certainly. Let's imagine a Chinese manufacturer selling, say, a container of electronics to a Kenyan distributor. In a traditional scenario, the payment from Kenya to China might take 5 days to clear. It could cost the distributor 3–5% of the transaction value in fees and potentially expose them to unfavorable exchange rate fluctuations during that lag.
Right.
With BTCD, that same, let's say, $50,000 transaction could be completed in as little as 5 minutes, and the fees could potentially be as low as $50 to $150. The time and cost savings are transformative, particularly for frequent trading relationships. Allows for faster inventory turns, reduced working capital needs.
Okay, but what about the really high stakes transactions, the backbone of global trade, like commodity trading? How does this system scale to handle something as complex and high value as, say, oil or mineral deals, where timing and trust are absolutely everything?
That's precisely where the robust features of this protocol, especially combined with smart contracts, truly shine. For price-sensitive high-value commodity trades, oil, minerals, agricultural products, BTCD combined with smart contracts can automate what's known as payment versus delivery. This is critical. Buyers and sellers can set phased payment conditions directly into an immutable smart contract. For example, a percentage of funds might be released only after the vessel's location is verified by a trusted oracle, or perhaps upon the automated confirmation of a bill of lading from an independent logistics provider. This significantly reduces trust costs as human intermediaries are minimized, and it eliminates price risks that arise from delays in traditional settlement, which are rampant in these large, complex transactions.
So, no more waiting around for manual verification or fearing price shifts while millions are in transit or escrow. Do you have an example for that scale? Maybe for a major commodity purchase?
Absolutely. Let's consider a hypothetical $30 million oil purchase between, say, an Arab supplier and a Chinese buyer. In the traditional system, this could involve complex letters of credit, multiple bank confirmations, delays, exposing both parties to significant price or delivery risks. With PG protocol, smart contracts could release funds in stages. Maybe 30% upon contract signing and collateralization, 40% upon verifiable loading of the tanker, and the final 30% upon arrival at the destination port. And these stages are triggered automatically, immutably, by real-time Oracle data feeding into the smart contract, maybe satellite tracking for vessel location or digital verification of an electronic bill of lading. This cuts out delays, eliminates manual errors, and drastically reduces the associated counterparty and price risks.
That's huge for efficiency and risk management, especially given the scale of commodity markets. Wow. Beyond direct trade, how does this protocol impact something like supply chain finance, where information asymmetry is often a major hurdle for smaller businesses trying to get capital?
Yeah, the transparency and immutability inherent in blockchain technology can effectively solve that pervasive problem of information asymmetry in supply chain finance, which often stifles capital flow for smaller players. Here's how it could work. Accounts receivable, once they're formally confirmed and verified by a large, credible core enterprise, they can be tokenized on the ECO smart chain.
Tokenized receivables, interesting.
Exactly. This unique digital asset then allows SME suppliers who might otherwise struggle to get traditional bank loans to use these tokenized receivables as collateral to quickly obtain BTCD loans. This effectively activates stagnant capital flow throughout the entire supply chain. It turns illiquid receivables into immediate working capital and significantly lowers financing costs for smaller businesses that often struggle to get traditional credit at competitive rates. It sort of democratizes access to liquidity.
So, turning a stagnant asset into immediate usable capital for SMEs, injecting liquidity. What about the other end of the scale? Larger entities like multinational corporations and their sophisticated treasury management needs. How does BTCD offer a benefit there?
Multinational corporations, yeah, they can leverage BTCD to establish a unified global treasury pool. This means real-time, low-cost fund allocation among their global subsidiaries. It effectively breaks down those traditional capital silos that often trap funds in different regions due to complex banking regulations or slow interbank transfers.
Right, freeing up trapped cash.
Precisely. Imagine consolidating cash across dozens of countries into one instantly accessible pool. Furthermore, idle funds held in BTCD can indirectly gain exposure to Bitcoin's appreciation potential through the underlying collateral mechanism. This enhances overall capital utilization efficiency and potentially boosts returns rather than just having cash sit in low-yield traditional accounts.
That sounds like a powerful tool for streamlining complex global operations. Okay, and finally, what about individual users? Smaller, more frequent transactions like remittances or maybe online shopping? Does BTCD have a role there too?
Absolutely. BTCD is also perfectly suitable for personal and retail payments, offering significant advantages over traditional channels. Think about cross-border remittances sending, say, a $1,000 AUD from Australia to a family member in China. Traditional methods might cost $30, $50 in fees. It'd take days to arrive. With BTCD, that could potentially be reduced to under $5 and settle in minutes. It's equally effective for e-commerce payments to international vendors, international travel expenses, where currency exchange is often a headache, and even tuition payments to overseas institutions. It offers significantly faster, more economical solutions than traditional channels. It really aims for broad applicability across the entire spectrum of financial transactions, from the largest commodity deals down to individual remittances.
This sounds incredibly ambitious, really moving from a bold vision to tangible, real-world solutions across the board. What's the practical plan to make this a reality? What does the roadmap look like for PG Protocol Chain?
Yeah, the project has laid out a clear, pragmatic, and multi-stage roadmap building towards its long-term vision. The immediate, pivotal next step is the official deployment of the BTCD stablecoin system on the ECO Smart Chain. This is planned for August 1st, 2025. Critically, that's after successfully passing what they describe as a professional and comprehensive security audit.
Okay, August 1st. Mark the calendar.
Exactly. At that pivotal moment, BTC staking will open to the PG community. This allows early participants to earn PGA token airdrop rewards, kicking off the ecosystem's economic incentives.
So a concrete launch date very soon, marking the system's operational debut. What are the midterm aspirations? Once it's up and running, BTCD is live, what happens next?
For the midterm, specifically targeting the end of 2025, the goal is quite bold. It indicates serious ambition to have the total amount of BTC stake in the BL2 system exceed 10,000 Bitcoin.
10,000 Bitcoin. Wow.
To put that in perspective, that's a substantial amount of capital backing the stablecoin, providing real robustness. Concurrently, they aim to integrate with various decentralized exchanges, DEX, and also major centralized exchanges. The goal there is to establish sufficient liquidity for BTCD, ensuring it's readily accessible, usable, and can handle large transaction volumes without significant price slippage. Liquidity is critical for widespread adoption.
Absolutely. And looking further down the line, beyond the initial rollout and liquidity building, what's the long-term vision for this ecosystem? How does it see itself impacting the global financial landscape?
The long-term vision is truly expansive. It's about building a comprehensive global trade finance ecosystem that transcends its initial applications. This involves gradually opening up to other decentralized autonomous organizations, DAO communities, fostering broader participation and integration. Ultimately, the goal is to become a vital, indispensable piece of international trade settlement infrastructure, seamlessly connecting economies globally and offering a robust, neutral alternative to existing systems. It's about establishing a new, trusted financial backbone for global commerce.
To achieve such a grand vision, a robust and adaptable development strategy is absolutely key, isn't it? How is PG Protocol Chain approaching overall ecosystem growth and ensuring its long-term viability?
Their strategy is comprehensive, yeah. It covers several crucial areas designed to foster organic growth and sustainability. First, for ecosystem building, they plan to foster a self-driven, prosperous ecosystem through something called the BTCD Eco Alliance. This involves providing detailed developer documentation, lowering the barrier to entry for innovators, offering grants to encourage the building of new applications, supporting a robust, decentralized node operator network, and investing heavily in user education to ensure broad adoption and understanding across diverse user groups.
And who are they looking to partner with to bring this vision to fruition? This isn't a project that can succeed in isolation, it sounds like.
Strategic partnerships are indeed vital. You're right, no single entity can achieve this alone. They've established deep collaboration with the Elastos Foundation, leveraging that shared technology and community resources as a base. Beyond that, they're actively forging partnerships with a wide array of entities across both traditional and digital financial landscapes. Think major trading companies, they're direct target users. Established financial institutions for broader integration, academic bodies for research and talent development, and core technology infrastructure providers to ensure robust underlying systems. This wide net is crucial for practical integration and widespread adoption in the real economy.
Given the innovative, potentially disruptive nature of this project, navigating regulation and compliance must be a significant consideration, especially in the context of global trade finance. How are they approaching that complex landscape?
This is a critical point, absolutely, and the white paper emphasizes a very thoughtful approach here. They're adopting a regulatory sandbox-first strategy. This means they plan to proactively engage with authorities and jurisdictions known for their progressive yet cautious stance towards digital assets. Places like the Hong Kong Monetary Authority's sandbox, potentially others in Singapore, Abu Dhabi. This proactive approach allows them to test and optimize the product in a controlled environment, ensuring healthy development within a global compliance framework. It shows a commitment to working with regulators, not against them.
That seems wise.
And they aim to build a flexible, compliant architecture with KYC Know Your Customer and AML anti-money laundering integration from the ground up, ensuring adherence to global financial standards. This isn't just about ticking boxes. It's about proactively shaping the regulatory dialogue and building trust from day one in these highly scrutinized environments.
And to encourage participation, fuel the growth we've been discussing, what kind of incentive programs are in place for developers, users, node operators?
They've allocated a substantial ecosystem development fund, 15% of the total PGA supply.
15%, okay.
Yeah, it's significant. This fund, along with comprehensive incentives like developer bounties to attract top talent, rewards for the node operators who secure the network, and PGA airdrops for early adopters. It's all designed to fuel community contributions, to ensure that various participants are incentivized to build and maintain the ecosystem. It's about aligning incentives for long-term growth and stability, fostering a truly decentralized and self-sustaining community around the protocol.
Now, this project is launching at a time when we're seeing increasing discussions, even headlines around de-dollarization as a global phenomenon. How does the white paper frame this broader trend, and how does PG Protocol fit into it? Is it seeing itself as a cause or more of a symptom or maybe a tool within this shift?
Right, connecting this to the bigger picture. The white paper views de-dollarization not as some fleeting trend, but as a truly significant global shift, a structural rebalancing of economic power, essentially. It highlights that this trend has been accelerating since pivotal events like the 2008 financial crisis, which certainly exposed vulnerabilities in the U.S. financial system. And it was dramatically brought into the spotlight, as we discussed earlier, by that 2022 exclusion of Russian banks from SWIFT. Those events served as stark, undeniable reminders of the vulnerabilities inherent in a system overly reliant on a single sovereign currency that can potentially be weaponized. So PG Protocol isn't positioned as a cause of de-dollarization, but rather as a strategic response to, and perhaps an accelerator of, an existing trend. It offers a tool, an alternative rail, within that shifting landscape.
So the long-term trend, but with recent catalysts pushing it forward, how is this de-dollarization actually manifesting around the world? What are the tangible signs the white paper points to, things we should be looking for?
It's manifesting in several observable, quantifiable ways, according to the paper. We're seeing a notable rise in bilateral local currency settlement agreements. The paper mentions over 100 such agreements had been signed by 2025, signaling a deliberate move away from the dollar in direct trade between countries. China's RMB settlement, for example, reached an impressive 38% of its foreign trade in 2024. That's a significant shift in a relatively short period.
30%, yeah.
Central banks globally are increasing their gold reserves, diversifying away from the dollar as their primary reserve asset. And there's this proliferation of alternative payment systems. China's CIPS, the cross-border interbank payment system, is growing rapidly. The paper notes it connecting over 650 financial institutions globally, offering a non-SWIFT channel. These are all clear, tangible indicators of this global move away from singular dollar dominance, driven by both, economic prudence and strategic imperatives.
And what does the white paper identify as the underlying challenges, the fundamental cracks maybe in the dollar system itself that are driving this trend? It sounds like more than just a preference for alternatives.
The white paper attributes these challenges to several deep structural issues that are, arguably, undermining the dollar's long-term viability as the sole global reserve currency. First, the escalating U.S. national debt exceeding $36 trillion, as we mentioned. Along with persistent fiscal deficits, this raises serious questions about long-term credibility, solvency.
Right.
Second, the increasing politicalization of SWIFT, which, as discussed, undermines its neutrality and forces nations to seek independent rails. Third, SWIFT's aging technology. Frankly, it struggles with the demands for speed, cost efficiency, transparency in today's digital age. It just wasn't built for the demands of the 21st century. And finally, there's the inherent Triffin dilemma.
Ah, the Triffin dilemma. Can you remind us what that is?
Sure. Imagine the U.S. dollar trying to do two conflicting jobs at once. Job one, be a stable currency for America's domestic economy. Job two, be the world's reserve currency, constantly supplying to other nations for trade. These two roles often conflict. For instance, the world might need more dollars for trade, requiring the U.S. to run deficits, which could undermine domestic confidence in the dollar. Or vice versa. It creates this unsustainable tension that puts a strain on the entire global financial system. It's seen as a fundamental, almost philosophical crack in the dollar's foundation as the sole reserve.
Okay, so given these deep-seated challenges to the dollar and the clear need for neutral, more efficient alternatives, Bitcoin is emerging in this white paper as a potential solution. How exactly does it position Bitcoin in this complex context, seeing it not just as, a speculative asset, but as a potential foundational reserve?
In this evolving context, yeah, Bitcoin is highlighted for several key, almost unique properties that make it highly attractive as a neutral reserve asset. Its political neutrality is paramount. It's not controlled or influenced by any single nation or institution, making it a truly global, unbiased asset. It has that strictly finite supply, 21 million, now post-fourth halving, with inflation under 1%. That makes it a scarce, anti-inflationary asset like digital gold.
Hmm.
Its tamper-proof records provide an immutable, transparent ledger. It operates 247 without geopolitical or time zone restrictions, ensuring constant accessibility. And by 2025, its market size, the paper notes, has grown to over $2 trillion, indicating significant liquidity and widespread acceptance as a store of value. It's positioned as a potential digital safe haven in an uncertain world.
But Bitcoin itself, it has its challenges, doesn't it? Volatility, for one, is a huge concern for everyday trade, and transaction speed can be limited on the main chain. How does PG Protocol specifically address these inherent issues of Bitcoin when positioning it as the value anchor for trade settlement?
Indeed, yeah, the white paper acknowledges these very points quite transparently. It doesn't shy away from them. It clearly states that Bitcoin's inherent volatility and its limited transaction speed, while manageable perhaps for certain applications or as a store of value, they present practical challenges for direct, high-volume trade settlement on its native layer.
Right.
And this is precisely where PG Protocol, with its innovative BTCD stablecoin, steps in. It aims to bridge Bitcoin's unparalleled security and decentralized nature with the payment stability and efficiency required for global trade. It effectively leverages Bitcoin as the underlying digital gold while providing a stable, fast, and cost-effective settlement layer, the Eco Smart Chain, with BTCD on top. It's designed to give you the best of both worlds.
Okay, now, every innovative project, especially one aiming for such a transformative impact on global finance, faces inherent hurdles and risks. What kind of potential risks does the white paper acknowledge for PG Protocol chain itself? And crucially, how does it plan to mitigate them proactively?
The white paper is remarkably transparent about potential risks, yes. And more importantly, it outlines robust, multi-layered mitigation strategies for each. It's not just identifying problems, it's about having concrete plans to overcome them. First, there's regulatory policy risk. Given the constantly evolving global landscape for digital assets, this is paramount. As mentioned, the project adopts that regulatory sandbox-first strategy, planning to proactively engage with authorities in key jurisdictions like Hong Kong, Singapore, Abu
Right.
Dhabi.
Hmm.
It emphasizes building a flexible compliance architecture, KYC, AML, integrated from the ground up. It's about working with the system to ensure adherence to global standards and build trust.
So, proactive engagement, collaboration with regulators, a cornerstone. What about competition? There are other stablecoins, other payment systems out there. How does PG Protocol plan to differentiate itself in what's becoming a crowded space?
That brings us to market competition risk. Yeah, instead of direct head-on competition with general-purpose stablecoins like, say, USDT or USDC, PG Protocol strategically focuses on the specific vertical of trade finance.
The niche focus.
Exactly. That niche focus is key. It highlights its truly unique value proposition, that secure, non-custodial Bitcoin collateralization, offering unparalleled decentralization and security, the innovative 90-day time lock, aligning perfectly with trade cycles, and the pervasive use of zero-knowledge proofs for privacy and verifiable security. This combination, specifically tailored to the complexities of international trade, allows it to carve out a distinct and compelling market position rather than trying to be everything to everyone.
And any new technology, especially one dealing with financial systems, comes with inherent technical security risks. How are they planning to safeguard against those, given the incredibly high stakes involved here?
Technical security risk is addressed through multiple rigorous layers. They plan for multiple independent professional security audits before that August 1st, 2025 deployment date. This includes formal verification of their smart contracts and core code, a painstaking process to mathematically prove correctness. They also intend to implement generous bounty programs, incentivizing the broader developer community to actively find and report vulnerabilities, leveraging collective intelligence. And furthermore, they state a commitment to long-term quantum resistance research, anticipating future cryptographic challenges to ensure the protocol remains secure for decades to come.
We've talked about Bitcoin's volatility as a challenge for direct trade. How do they mitigate market volatility risk for BTCD itself since it is Bitcoin backed? What safeguards are in place to prevent instability in the stablecoin?
Right. For market volatility risk, the design incorporates several robust safeguards. We discussed the tiered collateralization ratios, 40 to 65%, providing significant buffers against price drops. They've also optimized those multi-stage liquidation processes, designed specifically to protect users against sudden, vicious liquidations during extreme market downturns by allowing for relocking collateral and giving time for price recovery. And they plan to maintain sufficient liquidity pools across various exchanges to absorb market shocks and ensure BTCD's peg remains stable even during turbulent periods.
Okay, and finally, what about the inherent challenges of just getting a new complex system adopted, scaled globally? That's a massive lift, even with all these innovative features. How do they plan to overcome that classic chicken and egg problem of adoption?
Indeed, yeah, adoption and scaling risk is a significant hurdle for any new platform, no matter how technically sound. Their strategy involves developing extremely user-friendly interfaces, trying to lower the barrier to entry. Alongside that, comprehensive education programs to help users and businesses really understand the system's benefits. They plan a phased expansion, starting with key supportive markets like Hong Kong, and then gradually extending their reach. Critically, the modular architecture of the protocol itself is designed for inherent scalability. This allows them to adapt and grow to support future demand without needing a complete overhaul, ensuring the system can evolve as adoption increases.
So what we've unpacked today is, well, it's a truly ambitious project, isn't it? One that doesn't seek to merely improve, but to systematically redefine key aspects of global trade finance. At its core, PG Protocol Chain seems to offer a comprehensive, systematic solution to the current, very pressing challenges in global trade finance.
That's right. By intricately integrating Bitcoin's unparalleled security through merge mining, Elastos' mature and robust underlying tech, Bail2's cross-chain innovation using ZKPs for privacy and trust, and that unique dual-token governance model. PG Protocol Chain is dedicated to building a more open, more efficient, more secure, and crucially more inclusive global trade finance infrastructure. It's designed for resilience and accessibility for a much broader range of participants.
And its potential impact, as outlined in the white paper, it feels significant and incredibly timely, especially for such a pivotal economic region as Greater China and its vast trade network.
It truly is. The project provides a powerful and timely tool for Greater China's global trade. It enables it to mitigate systemic risks associated with traditional centralized systems and to significantly enhance its international competitiveness in this rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. Moreover, the innovative design of the BTCD stablecoin, particularly that non-custodial 90-day time lock mechanism and the flexible tiered collateralization, it precisely addresses the practical, real-world needs of trade finance. It bridges that gap between stable settlement and Bitcoin's value appreciation potential. It feels like a pragmatic solution designed for complex, real-world problems.
As we think about this digital new Bretton Woods system maybe taking shape, starting in hubs like Hong Kong, leveraging the inherent neutrality and security of Bitcoin, here's a provocative thought for you, our listener, to consider. Could a decentralized, Bitcoin-backed trade settlement network truly redefine the global economic order, moving us towards a financial future perhaps less reliant on any single sovereign power and maybe more adaptable to the inevitable geopolitical shifts that seem to be always on the horizon? We invite you to delve deeper into these ideas, perhaps by exploring the white paper yourself, and consider the immense potential this new paradigm holds for the future of global commerce. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.